Did you see Wise Guy?
No.
Did you see Girls 5 Eva?
No.
Did you see Pachinko?
No.
Did you see Slow Horses?
No.
Did you see Colin from Accounts?
No. What is this
Did you
list?
see season 4 of Evil?
Yes.
Oh. Did you see Baby Reindeer?
No.
Did you see Industry?
No.
Did you see English Teacher?
No.
Did you see Silo?
No.
Did you see The Penguin?
No.
Did you see Fallout?
Part of it. Didn't finish it.
Did you see Batman the Cape Crusader?
No.
Did you see Doctor Who?
No. I haven't. I'm so behind on Doctor Who.
Apparently we are very behind on our television programs.
Yeah, there's too many.
There are too many. That's the point of Shelf Life. You have to narrow this shit down. I don't know who has time for all of these. Like, who sits there and watches all of this?
It's too much.
What are you doing? It's too much.
I mean, if I'm working on projects and stuff, yeah, you shove that like a TV show on, you're good to go.
See, I always feel like these that are like the best shows, though, you gotta like pay attention. Like,
yeah, but half of
those
are the best. Those are the best because
those were labeled as the best.
I didn't even hear of most of those.
All right, Rachel, fine. What did you see this year? I'm Kevin.
And I'm Rachel.
This is Shelf Life, a podcast where a brother and sister team go through all things pop culture to determine whether or not the subject at hand belongs on your shelf. But because we've reached a point in Volume 5 where we could both use a little bit of a break, we thought that we would take a moment, a breath, and just talk about some of the stuff because, well, Rachel, what our show most of the time does is talk about stuff from the past, where we can examine whether or not the subject has shelf life. That usually excludes anything from the current year, as you need time to pass to determine whether or not it does.
Typically, yeah.
So we're not going to be giving out shelf life verdicts today. All we thought we would do is just share some of our reviews or thoughts about some of the stuff that we did see, read, play, whatever, from 2024. Rachel, did you print off your list like Mike Stoklasa?
Of course
do you have
I
a piece
did.
of paper?
Of course
you
I
crumpled
did.
paper.
Got it right here.
I'm glad that you went analog with it. Is this gimmick infringement because you printed off the paper like Red Letter Media would?
I can write on it. Highlight things.
So typically in a
I have it both
year,
ways, honestly.
Well, you have quite an extensive list, I think, as well. I
do.
I don't usually have an extensive list because I rewatch a lot of the stuff that I already like. And then I'm so behind on literally everything. So I'm talking about like years ago when we get into some of these subjects. Like for TV, I just started Gen V. I don't remember what year that came out. I've been watching Veep. I've been watching Silicon Valley. Stranger Things season 3.
I'm behind on Stranger Things 2. One day I'll come back to it.
Stranger Things 4, I think, is where it's at right now.
I don't even know. I think we finished season 2. It's been a while.
So what do you have on your list? What do you want to discuss?
Well, do we want to start beginning of the year, middle of the year?
You go with whatever your heart desires.
I mean, look, I watch a lot of stuff.
She does. As I have always said, Rachel will dig through the bottom of that trash barrel that is Netflix.
Sometimes you
Netflix
have to.
is the Walmart of all of these streaming services. It is the worst streaming service there is.
I mean,
I'm convinced.
I don't think so. I feel like Hulu has a lot of like weird
trash.
We made this in college movies and
okay.
shows, and I'm like, what is
That's
this?
fair.
And then we have to just turn it off. The concept is there,
okay.
but execution.
I don't disagree with that. I think that there is a lot of that on Hulu. Netflix, though, to me, seems like they just hate their audience. They just think that we're just pig slops that just want the dumbest thing possible.
They're expecting just a group of hog beasts watching their shows and movies.
You should be eating 1,000 pancakes while you watch Netflix. Here's hot Frosty.
Everywhere.
Watch your eat the slop.
Oh, that was a recent one. I did watch that.
Okay.
Oh, bad. It's worse than a Hallmark. It had the Hallmark everything, right? You expect Hallmark Christmas movie.
Rip-off. Yeah.
I'm so sorry to the actor. I'm about to say that. I'm so sorry. He did nothing for me. Every time he was kind of gross to me. I was like so unattracted to him that I did not understand.
He has a lot of
personality,
sharp angles.
The sharp angles. It was all kind of for me. And the story was just stupid. There was no chemistry.
Well, and that's kind of all you want when you watch one of these Christmas shows.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was
Lacey. Gretchen.
Gretchen. It's Gretchen from Mean Girls, right? So she's become like the Hallmark woman.
She is the queen of Christmas. I
pretty
think
much.
I heard Cinema Stop call her.
She was fine. It was just stupid. It was bad. And what's his name? Daryl from The Office was in it.
Yeah.
It was too much. It could have been funny. It was too much. That's my take. That's my take on Hot Frosty. That's my hot take on Hot Frosty.
There you go. Is it what Netflix wants you to do, which is they came out recently and said that they want shows that people can not pay attention to while they're on in the background, like they want
that was definitely a background that felt because it's a Hallmark movie.
All the lines, everyone should be saying what they're doing instead of show it's all tell and stuff like that.
Yeah, I kind of felt that way.
I'm okay with that if Netflix also does here's good stuff. Like you can have bad and shit and crap, and you can also have good stuff.
Like, and give
Sometimes
something,
even
if it's bad, give me something that I can talk about. This one was just, I don't even want to talk about it.
Nothing to say.
No.
That's Hot Frosty.
Really.
I went to the movies quite a bit this year, Rachel. I
always
mostly saw
to.
blockbusters.
Sure, fair.
But I think I averaged out to almost one a month.
See,
so,
I felt like there wasn't enough for one a month this year.
Well, I probably skipped some months. But there were some, I didn't get to see a couple, but I saw a few that you didn't see. I saw...
Okay.
I saw Fall Guy, which was the Baby Goose, Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt driven project, like a rom-com action movie. I think that you would like that one.
Oh, okay.
Because it was
good
charming.
Mix?
Yeah, it's a good mix. The one thing about it that I'll say is they try a little too hard in a lot of the areas.
Okay.
So they're throwing literally everything at the camera, by which I mean like any stylistic choice they could think of that could be fun or like involve a stunt, they go for it. Like they do split screen at one point. They do a...
I thought maybe you were saying it's 3D and so everything just comes at the screen.
No,
you can tell it was made for 3D.
I definitely didn't see it in 3D.
But that's weird. They did like the split screen and stuff. Okay.
They do a split screen at one point. The stunts aren't earth-shattering. So the premise of it is that he's a stuntman that has an accident and he's dating the assistant director or supervising director on the set of the movie that he gets hurt on, and he bottoms out and he kind of gets like shell shock. So he just stops being a stuntman, and then he gets a call from this agent, and the supervising director, played by Emily Blunt, is now directing a movie. It's her first time directing a movie, and she's directing like this Dune-esque big sci-fi movie.
Interesting.
Yeah, so he has to go to Australia and be a stuntman on that, and then the real actor who he's the stuntman for is missing, so he has to try to find where the real actor is, and hijinks ensue. And it's based off of a TV show from like the 70s, but I don't really think any of that applies to this. So it was fun. I would recommend you watching it. I think that you would like it. There's some parts that get a little too draggy, a little too long, but overall it was fun. Nothing earth-shattering about that one. It did do bad at the box office, and I think it probably was underrated, but like I could see why people would be like, I'm not going to go out and watch that one. It was also one of those movies that, like Sonic, when we went to see Sonic,
had before
the movie started, people telling us how appreciative that they are. Stop.
I feel like they do that all the time, though. Now they do that with everything. They even do that with Dune. When we went to see Dune, they had people saying
it. Feels desperate. Like I'm already sitting there. You don't have to convince me to come to the movies.
It could be a commercial. You could do commercials for TV to go to the movie. But, like, I don't think I need to be thanked by the actors.
Yeah, it's like Optimus Prime telling me how brave I am.
Well, I do like that Optimus Prime tells us we're brave. That should happen in every movie theater. You're brave.
I would like that to happen, yes. Actually, if instead of the actors, it was Optimus Prime saying, your bravery coming to the theater will not be overlooked, that I would enjoy. That I could get behind.
Absolutely.
Listen up, Cinemark and AMC.
Well, see, like, the bigger thing is like, yeah, if they do start having, like, the cartoon characters start thanking us, like the ones from Inside Out, because we did see Inside Out 2 this year as well.
I definitely did not.
Well, I did. Inside Out 1 was cute, right? The second one had a lot going on. They had, like, new emotions and everything, and she's going off to, like, a camp and stuff like that. Which makes sense. She's a teenager, so there's going to be a lot more going on. But it's funny because I always feel like the emotions themselves tend to have all of the emotions at the same time. So it's less of them acting only like as that one thing and then being all of them, especially like the main character.
Do you think that's by design?
I would assume. But it's hard to say.
Teenager, so they like can't control their emotions.
Right.
Almost.
Well, that's definitely what it is because anxiety takes over.
Oh.
In this one.
And it never stops.
And it never goes away. But I mean, it was pretty cute. You know, it's one of those. It feels like a coming of age type of thing, understanding your own emotions as a teenager, I suppose. Doesn't tell you how to control them, but it's just kind of like don't let them control
Making you aware of them.
Yeah. So of course not for my age group, but also just kind of fun.
I also saw one that you did not see in the theaters, Civil War. Which...
Is this like literally the Civil War? Not like Civil War,
Civil War,
you know, Marvel Civil War.
No, the movie. The movie Civil War. The Alex Garland movie, he's the same guy that did Annihilation and Ex Machina. And you feel it with this one. I don't know if you would like it. So I think a lot of the advertising made it seem like it was going to be about like the battles in the Civil War.
Okay.
And like an actual Civil War. So like there's a dictator president and California and Texas have seceded and are teaming up to stop him. And then there's loyalty states and Florida's broken away and they're doing their own thing and all this stuff. But you don't really see why or anything like that. And I think a lot of people on the internet in particular were frustrated because they thought it was going to be like a big dumb action movie. They either don't know Alex Garland or they're just kids and they just, you know, don't want to think about it further than that. It's really following wartime photographers and journalists. Okay. Kirsten Dunst plays a wartime photographer, like a famous one.
Okay.
And she stumbles into this young girl that wants to be a photographer. They go on essentially a road trip, or in order to get to the White House so that they can get the president, a quote from the president as the White House falls. So it's much more subdued and just kind of talking about it. It's almost like a background thing. Like it's not great, but I also like thought that it had its moments because it's really more about like it's a cautionary tale from the war correspondent's perspective. Like Kirsten Dunst even kind of calls that out at one point where she says like she's been doing war photography for so long, every single time she did it, it was like a way of warning people, don't let this happen here.
Oh, sure.
And then and then it does, and then it's just showing you like the shittiness that a civil war would bring.
Right.
So it was okay. It was okay. It
kind
was
of very dramatic, very serious.
Well, and it ends very Alex Garland-y too, because it ends on like a dour,
of course,
note.
Sure.
Like if you are not used to his
like
movies,
heed this warning almost.
Yeah, I don't know if you haven't seen Ex Machina Annihilation, if you just jump right in and be like, okay, like
Yeah.
if you understand those movies, then you'd get where he's coming from in this one.
I liked Annihilation and
Me
Ex
too,
Machina.
but I think that those were probably better, but
Okay.
I'd have to rewatch it.
Sure. I mean, they also kind of more hit on a bit more sci-fi. This sounds more historically accurate type of thing.
Yeah, it's more like action drama type. It's a war movie.
Sure. I think we both saw Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Speaking of like war movies where it's like apes versus humans.
Did. Yes.
Since it was kind of like leading up to me, this one felt like it was the lead up to the original movie. At least I thought it was kind of going there. It felt like kind of like an inner in between. And so I was kind of like, where is this going? Is it going to the beginning, like, of where it all started with the original movies, or...
I read somewhere that they're planning to do a total of 9, so this was the 4th one.
Oh,
so, yes,
9 movies?
Yeah.
Holy cow, that's a lot of ape movies.
It's a lot of apes. I thought that's what I read. I don't know if they'll be able to do that or not. I think it made money, so maybe.
Yeah.
But I thought that it was okay. There were some parts that I found frustrating. I wish that they would have gotten to the ape kingdom earlier, and we explored that a little more.
I feel like that would have been more interesting. I agree. The human character in it.
The human character.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was just thinking the same thing. That human character, I was like, I don't know about that character.
You know, part of me gets
character.
It. Yeah, it's like too much. Where it's like they're purposely trying to make it so that you can't tell what her allegiances are. But like,
is she gonna backstab the apes? Does she have like alternative motives?
Yeah, it's a lot of twists in that one. But like, it was fine.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have a problem with it.
Sure.
Like if I ranked the movies that I saw in the theater, it was probably like second from the bottom, but that's not like bad. I saw some good movies in the theater.
For me, Dune would be above it.
Oh, Dune would definitely be above it.
Yeah.
I think Dune would probably be near the top. We both saw Dune.
Yes, we both saw Dune. I liked Dune. I had to rewatch Dune, the first Dune, to go see Dune 2. I enjoyed it. I like the story, and I'm like, of course I like the story.
Well, yeah, you like the story because it's like every story takes from this story. Like,
right.
I remember when you saw it and you were like, yeah, Khaleesi is just Paul Atreides.
Yes.
Like, that's clearly the path that George R.R. has her on, and whether or not that went right or not, like, that's clearly like the same arc.
Right.
There's so much from it that's like Game of Thrones or Hunger Games.
Star Wars, Hunger Games.
Star Wars, yeah. There's a lot of it in there. I found the first one to be draggy, which I'm
it was
sure
way
you're shocked
draggier
by.
than the second one.
The second one has a lot better pacing to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's almost parts where I thought it could have slowed down a second to like explain what the hell was going on.
Or kind of let it breathe a little bit.
Yeah. Give us like a minute to figure this thing out. But I thought that the sets were good, the characters are good, the acting's good. Like it's a very good movie. I did buy that one on 4K.
So hopefully it has shelf life and it can stay on there.
Well, we'll find out one day.
Exactly.
Yes. Otherwise, I gotta get rid of it. That's the rules. What if that was the rules? I had to like break it like Best of the Worst style.
God.
It doesn't have shelf life.
I don't know. That might hurt. Someone send us a second copy so we can break it.
One that I think we both saw, but I think you streamed it and I went to the theater, was Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
Yes. That one we did stream versus going actually to the theater. I always say we because it's always me and my husband. I'll say I. Sure. I went to Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. We just watched Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
There's so much going on in it that it's too much.
It was too much. I think it was too much. I was kind of annoyed with the Lydia character. And
well, like you said, her growth from the movie...
It fell away. It just completely fell apart.
Well, I think you can justify it a little bit because the husband died.
I guess.
But, yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
I wanted to see more growth for her, considering how much growth she had in the first movie. It was kind of like, yeah, like you should be kind of more rounded at that point. You've grown up.
they had too many plot points because they had...
There was so much. Yes.
Jenna Ortega's love interest.
Yes.
And then that resolves super quickly.
Oh my god. It was way faster than I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, and that could be a joke, I suppose, but it just felt unsatisfying.
Mm-hmm.
The love thing with Lydia and Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice trying to become her husband again, or trying to get Lydia to marry him. I was trying
to figure out, like, why. I felt like there was some motivation that was going to come out of that, and then there wasn't. But I'm like, okay, is it just the same thing again? Because I thought there was, like, another motivation, considering he has another love interest with his ex, right?
And that was too much. Like, that was just too much to add into this movie.
Yes, and then there's Lydia's actual, like, love interest boyfriend. There's so many of that happening, and I don't know if we're just supposed to be paralleling all of these couples, but it was just, like, way too much happening.
And then singing it at the end to MacArthur
that was
Park,
too much. That wait was too long. It was too long.
Yep.
It was too much.
It didn't make sense. Like, there was a reason for them to sing Deo in Beetlejuice. What is the reasoning for them to do?
Yeah.
There was no focus.
No, there was definitely not a focus in this one.
So this is the definition of me of, like, style over substance. Mm-hmm. I liked the Burton style was in this.
Yes.
And that was nice to see. It was actually kind of fun to see, like, it's a Tim Burton movie that's, like, got that flair to it.
Mm-hmm. I love a good flair. But the story was just not there.
I don't know if they just merged, like, every script they've ever made for a Beetlejuice sequel together or what, but it was just too much. I thought it was okay, but it definitely was not very good.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we'll see if I rewatch it, but to me it was like, this is in and out. Speaking of Jenna Ortega, I watched both of the Scream sequels.
Ooh.
And I know those are not from 2024. But I'll just quickly say,
that's fine. Go ahead. Because I haven't gotten to watch those yet.
Pretty good.
All right.
It's actually a good satire on the Lego sequel. I actually really enjoyed that aspect of it. Like, they even go down to, bringing the legacy characters in and, like, kind of making fun of Star Wars. Like, a lot of it is making fun of Star Wars.
Okay.
And the way that Star Wars, the Disney Star Wars trilogy came back and that kind of thing. I thought that one was pretty good. It actually had a good satire to it. The sixth one, on the other hand, Going to New York, I didn't like that one as much. Okay. The kills are pretty good. The violence is pretty good. But, like, I've never found a Scream movie scary, so I can't really say it was scary. But the kills were pretty good.
That's fair.
That's my Scream 5 and 6. See it. Streaming now. Should we talk about Deadpool and Wolverine, Rachel?
Do we talk about the Deadpool in the room? That's what it sounded like. You're like, are we talk about the elephant in the room? Deadpool and Wolverine that came out?
Well, it was the biggest movie.
That was probably the biggest movie of the year, I would imagine.
Well, actually,
I went and saw.
You went to see Wicked.
I got to see Wicked.
So, do you want to start with Wicked, or do you want to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine?
Let's start with Deadpool and Wolverine.
Okay. Let's talk about Deadpool.
And then I'll talk about the Uglies after that, because, that's actually the movie of the year.
Okay, perfect. That's another Netflix one, right? Mm-hmm.
Deadpool Wolverine takes it obviously up a notch, because now it's the third Deadpool movie, and it actually brings together both of those characters, which has been wanted for a very long time, right?
Yeah, I know that Ryan Reynolds has wanted Logan to be in the movies with him. I know that Hugh Jackman said he would come back to it if he was able to be with the Avengers. So there you go. And nothing is sacred anymore. So it's not like killing, doing Logan and then doing this. It's gonna, like, of course they're gonna go to that well again.
Sure. The one thing, I don't know, then spoiler alert, I guess. The one thing I wish they would have done with the Logan character is because they give you his backstory, right? This isn't actually the Logan we know from the other Logans.
Correct.
This is Logan, all the X-Men are dead Logan. I'm mad he didn't kill them.
That they didn't do Old Man Logan's.
Yes.
Yeah, it would have made sense to do that.
It just makes sense. Yeah. It just felt like they were on it. We're like, oh, they can't go that far. It's Deadpool and Wolverine. You're doing ridiculous, over-the-top crap the entire movie, and you can't let Logan kill the X-Men?
I mean,
let it happen. It makes it more... it just hits harder.
It would have, yes, because he would be ashamed to wear the uniform,
which is the
like
point.
his arc.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't there to save them. Bullshit. That's so stupid.
Yeah, I agree. And I kind of wish that they would have done that. That would have made it better. This was the first time where I not the first time, but I definitely agreed with Martin Scorsese about these Marvel movies being a thrill ride versus a movie.
Yes.
This is not a movie. It's
just stuff.
This is a series of jokes put together in a thread in order to make a somewhat of a structured narrative.
Yeah.
For 2 hours.
Yeah. Did I enjoy it?
There you go.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun.
Yeah,
I did think it was a lot of fun. So, some of the jokes are really good. My favorite being the comic accurate Wolverine.
Oh my god, that was amazing. That was one of my favorites too. Look at you, comically accurate Wolverine. Yes, I did enjoy that.
That was pretty great. And there's some other ones. The cameos are fun, although, I mean, spoiler alert, I don't know who the hell was pining for Jennifer Garner as Elektra to come back, and maybe that's the joke.
No, I think there are.
Like Jennifer Garner a lot. Yeah. Seeing Blade was good, and
that was funny.
Some of the battles are good. I remember telling you after the movie that I was sitting there in the theater going, they probably are going to need to find a way to bring Daphne Keane in as X-23 because she's got it down.
Yes.
She understands the character. And then at the end they're like, yep, we're bringing her in because we're not fucking around with that. But I mean, overall, it was funny. It was fun.
It was fun. It was funny. It was a little too much, and it was kind of like, here's just a bunch of scenes shoved together.
I've seen both sides of this. I've seen people loving this, and I've seen people absolutely despising this. And I understand both sides, and I think I'm somewhere in the middle.
I'm in the middle too, and I like Deadpool. I've always liked the comic books because I just think they're silly and fun. And
the comic books have a lot more pathos. The comic books, yes, I always find give Deadpool a lot more drive and stakes, and he's got a daughter.
Yes.
And there's things about the comics that I think the movies miss a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was fun. I do think, and one of the criticisms I've seen is that they go too fourth wall heavy. They talk about actors a lot. Like, clearly they make
a lot of
like
actors
Lively,
and music.
Hugh Jackman's divorce. And
yes.
I think they could have toned that down a bit because it was a little much. Like, the first two Deadpools didn't do that much with it.
Right.
And I will also say that I don't know exactly how people, what they would call this out, but like the color grading was Marvelized.
Mm.
It looks a lot more Disney Marvel.
Yes.
Bright.
Yes.
Rather than the Fox grimmer. Fox's has like a saturation to it, I always thought. And it makes it look less like a movie. It makes it look more like a TV show.
I agree.
The way that Marvel does their shit.
That's a good way to say it. Yes.
I really wish they would stop doing that because, like, make these feel important. Make these look and feel big.
But they're putting
out
just, like, the next so many. That's the problem, is they're putting out so many that which one is important? Are they important?
Right. And that's the problem where I think that they've gotten into, where there's too much of this now. If it was like comic books, you could pick and choose what you want to watch. And I think, unfortunately, that's kind of where we're at. I didn't find Deadpool and Wolverine desperate, bringing the cameos back and stuff like that. I found the reveal of Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom desperate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's called desperation.
And they could do a decent job with that. We'll see what they do, because if they just make it that he is just Victor Von Doom, he just happens to look like Tony Stark. Do not let him be he's going to be a fucking variant of Tony Stark. And that went bad because he did something, or right. He didn't have the Avengers or some bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But you probably could get away with...
Maybe that's all it's going to be.
Yeah, maybe it's just Pepper or something.
He doesn't hold him back. She doesn't hold him back.
But I would rather it's just have him be Victor Von Doom when he looks like Tony Stark. And the problem with it is, all of those Avengers that we care about and that would care about Tony haven't been in the movies for the past 5 years. Like,
so who's
outside, who's going to care? Spider-Man's going to come back, but we haven't seen him since No Way Home. Who the fuck else cares about Tony Stark?
Right.
They're all dead or not in the Avengers anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Or they weren't the main characters. It's just, we'll see how they do. I agree with you that there's too much. I am way behind.
Oh, I'm
on
so
the Marvel
behind.
shows.
I'm behind on everything. I don't even think I've watched most of it.
I watched Loki season 1, I think, earlier this year, which I know is from a couple years ago. I will say this about it, and then we can move on. It's one of the best things they've done.
Okay.
Loki season 1 is one of the best movies, shows, you name it. It's one of their best.
Okay, wow.
Absolutely. So that's where I stand.
I'm that behind.
Well, I mean, I'm super behind.
I know.
I'm on, like, that's where I'm at. I'm
right.
On What If season 1 or something. So, yeah, really behind on that. So I can't really speak to any of those shows. But that's the state of the Marvel universe, people. We'll see. Hey, we'll see, because they've got Captain America coming out. The Fantastic Four, and I really think that the two most important ones for them are going to be Daredevil and the Fantastic Four.
Probably.
If they don't do those right, just reset, because what are you doing? You're not gonna you can't because those are too beloved. You just can't.
Right.
You can fuck up, and the Thunderbolts I'm actually interested in too, but like you can fuck up Moon Knight, and no one's gonna care. It's Moon Knight. 5 people are gonna care. You can't fuck up Daredevil and the Fantastic Four.
I mean, they did kind of screw up the Fantastic Four before.
I know, and
so,
what happened?
Let's see what happens this time.
Mm-hmm. 4th time's the charm.
So, the other big box office movie was Wicked, right?
Yes.
So this is the one that I went to see for my Thanksgiving movie.
Yes, and I did not go see Wicked because I thought a single man by himself in the theater on Thanksgiving Eve watching Wicked would be creepy.
Nah, I don't think anybody would care.
What if I just sang all the songs too? I was like that asshole that's like, I'm defying gravity.
Probably. So I guess my take on it is I have never seen Wicked ever. I don't really know a lot about it. I didn't realize it was also 4 books. Like, there's 4 books in the whole, like, Wicked
really?
series. Yeah.
I've heard they're not very good. I've heard the books are kind of bad.
I'm also almost certain that I read Son of a Witch without realizing that it was a part of a series when I was a kid.
Interesting.
Yeah. So anyways, that's all I kind of know about it. I know some of the songs and all of that. I kind of know the concept, like the idea of Wicked. And so I'm kind of going in that way. I am not a diehard fan. That's my point.
It's how we start every Shelf Life episode, by giving you the background on what we're talking about.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. Didn't realize there was going to be a part 2 to this, but there is. I thought it was really good. I thought there were points, and I'm probably going to get my head chewed off for this, that dragged. That felt too long, that felt drawn out, and I was like, what is this weird pause that we're doing right here? Why is this, like, cinematically, they had to change a couple things, and I've heard about that with the musical parts, and I'm like, but it flows nice. So I was like, I actually think that it worked, depending on, you know, musical fans. You probably are like, no, it doesn't work at all, but look, cinematically, I felt like it worked. I enjoyed the actors and actresses. I thought they did a fantastic job. Especially like playing those characters, since they're like such prominent characters that you could feel the emotion, and you could feel
the emotion.
You could kind of feel something, like even if they weren't supposed to totally depict a specific feeling, you knew there was something in the back. So I liked that because it made me go, wait a minute, and a couple times. Which is kind of neat. So I really enjoyed all of that, but I will say it did feel like it kind of dragged at a couple points, which was kind of like, all right. I think they drew it out too much.
Yeah, and I guess because they're making it a 2-parter, that's why. I always thought, now I could be wrong, because I do like the music from it. I've listened to the music from it. Like, Defying Gravity is a really, really
stuck
great
in your head.
song. I always thought that was the end of the play.
It felt like it could be.
But that's in this, so it's like, what are they just adapting the other books?
That's what I was wondering. I was like, oh, okay, so they're gonna do more of like the book take on it.
Yeah,
but I don't have a clue, to be honest.
That's I mean, folks at home, let us know if you know, but that's gotta be what it is,
right?
Like, I would be okay with like the Wizard of Oz, but Dorothy like comes and is like a, you know, not the main character.
Well, that's the thing. They already teased pictures. And
Oh, really?
I think there is going to be a Dorothy in the next one. So I think it is going to start that part. Mm-hmm. But I think we'll get to see the opposite side of Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. You would say that it was worth seeing.
I think so. I think it was actually really nice. And if you like musical, like if you like to have like the music a part of the movie, yeah, it's very enjoyable. It gets stuck in your head. Earworms everywhere.
I'm wondering if I'll go see it in the theater or not. By now, it might already be out of the theaters, but I'll see it when it hits whatever.
Oh, of course.
Streaming or whatever, if I don't see it in the theater. Speaking of streaming, Rachel.
Oh, boy.
Well, you were going to talk about Uglies.
Oh, that's true. We almost watched that together. We ended up watching, Trap instead?
Yes, we watched Trap instead. Pause the show. Because we probably could go for a good 2 hours about Trap. let's just say this about Trap. It's absolutely absurd.
Absurd.
It changes perspective like 45 minutes into the movie.
Oh my god. Ridiculous.
It's insane, and at this point I cannot tell if M. Night Shyamalan is doing it on purpose or not.
I thought he forgot the plot.
The dialogue is so bizarre. It's like it really is just an advertisement for the daughter's album or 100%. Songs.
Yeah.
But it is absolutely bizarre.
I had such a better twist in my head. I was like, okay, I'm ready for the Shyamalan twist. That never came.
We thought that the mom was in on it, or it was the mom that did it, right? Like that was what we were hoping.
There was a lot of things. There was a lot of things. I thought he wasn't even going to be the actual killer. I had a twist that he just wanted to be a part of finding him.
Like the guy that like dumbly gives him all of the information.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what the twist. I guess the twist was that the spoiler alert for Trap.
Yeah.
I guess the twist
if
was
you care.
Was that the wife set him up?
I guess that was the whole thing. Yeah. She set the trap.
All right.
I guess.
All right. Well,
Anyways.
Anyway, I thought it was not good. It was pretty terrible. It was fun to watch as a family because of how stupid it was.
You kind of could talk about it at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah,
Uglies,
it was not very good.
On the other hand, probably wouldn't have been fun to watch as a family. Honestly, I have a feeling most of us would have fallen asleep, besides probably myself, if we watched The Uglies together.
Interesting.
I grew up, all right, loving dystopians. Sure. Loving them. Loving dystopian books. I read tons of those. I loved, like, watching the movies, yada yada. This is one of those books.
Did you read this one?
I feel like I may have read it a long ass time ago, and I feel like I have to reread it just to see, like, okay, is this one that I actually liked? Sure. Because the movie-wise, it just kind of fell flat. It didn't feel like a dystopian. It felt like it wanted to be, but then didn't know how. It was a little wonky. I'm trying to figure out how to describe it. Like, the whole idea, right, is that in order to help people connect and not fight over stupid things, we're going to make you the perfect person. We're going to make you beautiful. We're going to make you ideal. So there's the uglies, and then there's like the perfects or the pretties or whatever, right? The pretties.
Sure.
But of course that just causes more divide because that's how all of these things happen. And instead of it just taking away your physical, it also takes away your brain, your mental capacity, your personality, all of those types of things as well. Mm-hmm. So it's all of these like double-edged swords. Do I want to be pretty or do I want to have a brain? There was a lot where I was just kind of like, where is this going to go? And it just kind of felt like it didn't quite grasp the whole concept of what a dystopian is. It's obviously going to be there's going to be another one because it is a series. There's uglies and then there's pretties and then there's like supers or whatever the hell it's called after the fact.
All right.
So it follows the line of it, but I don't know. I can't tell if it's one that I actually enjoyed as a kid. I have a feeling this isn't one of those. This is probably at the point of the dystopians where I was like, a little more far-fetched.
I thought it came out before, like, Hunger
Did
Games.
it?
And, yeah, I think it's older.
Now
I think
it
predates those.
Because I know there was a lot, and part of me goes, why do I feel like it's on my shelf right now? Like, literally on my bookshelf. And it might be, because I had a lot of dystopian novels as a kid. Mm-hmm. So that might be true. Maybe it did predate, but it was just such a... It's one of those that just felt more absurd than the other dystopians, where it was just like, mm-hmm. we're truly just doing physical face value prettiness against each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think I could understand that being like the concept, but yeah. I might check it out one day just to kind of see. Cause like
I'm going to read it again. I already did check it out.
I like dystopian stuff. Speaking of, I think we both saw this one in the theaters, Rachel, Furiosa.
Oh, yeah, Furiosa.
Yeah. This and I haven't seen The Substance or like some of the Challengers or like any of those movies that like people are like saying like are award winning and the best of the year, because I'm just a simple man who likes my blockbusters. This was my favorite movie of the year.
This was so good.
Hands down.
This was so good.
I loved this movie. I absolutely loved this movie. Now we'll see if it has shelf life, but like right now, I love it.
Yeah.
I have to rewatch it, actually.
Let me give you a little backstory on me. We went to see Mad Max, and Fury Road, right?
Yeah.
When it came out, my husband and my brother both were like, "Oh
me.
yeah."
Meaning
so
me.
I guess okay. Kevin, you and my husband, you asked us. You were like, "Do you want to go see Mad Max?" And I kind of went, "Mad Max? Like, why would I want to go see Mad Max?" And then we go see it, and I'm like, I liked that a lot. So it was actually kind of a surprise for me. And so, of course, I really wanted to see Furiosa. And then that ended up being good, like very, very good. I liked it. The action, the characters.
The world building.
The world is so fun.
Are really good. Chris Hemsworth is really great in it. I mean, not Charlize Theron, and Anna Taylor-Joy is playing
her. Yeah,
is playing Furiosa. She's really good in it. Yeah, she even does like a Charlize voice.
Yes,
she
she gets that voice going.
The action is really fun. The story is really good.
Yeah.
It's pretty damn great. That just everything
it was
about
locked in. It was great.
Yeah. The way everything is shot and like the stunts and stuff, it just from one scene to the next, it's really, really good. That is truly my favorite movie of the year. I know it's down on some people's lists, but I thought it was excellent. I thought it was great.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Was there any other movies? Oh, you talked about a Thanksgiving movie. I should mention my Thanksgiving movie. I went to see Gladiator II.
How was that? All right.
So what else do we have?
Well, less and a bit more on like the scary side, rock and roll side. Let's go Hysteria.
Okay.
Let's talk Hysteria.
Yeah.
We both watched this.
We did. I've only made it through the first 5 episodes.
Oh, okay. I've watched the whole thing. I won't spoil anything.
Perfect. This is one of the shows I try to find shows for when I visit mom and dad to watch with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched the first episode of Hysteria just because it looked interesting on Peacock one night.
You're the one who told me to watch this.
Yeah, and I was like, this could be something I watch with mom and dad because it seemed fun after the first episode, and then yeah, you watched it all. So what were your thoughts about the full season?
It kind of just made you keep watching. Because like weird crap happens, and like I think of the name right of the
what is
show.
Because there might be some people out there that don't know what the show is kind of trying to do.
So it's set in the 80s, back during the Satanic Panic,
right?
And this band decides to become a cult.
Lean into that, yeah. Well,
because they're like what are they, heavy metal? They're like a heavy metal band.
Like a heavy metal band. They can't get anybody to come to shows, and something happens in the town that like leads to people like thinking that there's Satanists in the town,
Yes.
so they just lean into it and are like, well, we might as well just pretend to
It
be
would
Satanists.
get them attention. They want attention, is the whole idea.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, they're like, let's pretend to be Satanists. And they kind of write songs that kind of go around that, and they dress differently, and they act a little differently to pull it off. And kind of the world builds itself around that. People start paying attention.
It's a Stranger Things meets rock and roll show, the Satanic Panic. So far, I've had a lot of fun with it. I really like this show. I thought it was really good.
I enjoyed it.
Just
I definitely
fun. It's
enjoyed
just like
it.
a fun show to watch. Yeah.
I mean, the other like shows I've watched are kind of the seasons that came out this year. So if you're thinking like Bridgerton season 3, Evil season 4, so that's another kind of weird one with like devil stuff in it.
Yeah.
Very leads into that one, a little bit more realist, like trying to mash together science and religion. And then based on a true story season 2 was also a weird one. Speaking of podcasts, since that was a show about a podcast.
It is a show about a podcast, and I did not like the first season. I did not like it.
I'm on the fence about it. It's fine, but
part of the problem is, as we do a podcast, we like the way that they
well, it's
like
because
all of
they
it was
did
just
true
like
crime.
this is like not real.
It's not
like,
realistic.
This is not how this works.
Right.
But the tone, I felt like the season 1, the tone was all over the fucking place.
So is season 2. So I'm on the fence about it. I don't know if I like it. I think for me it's just kind of there, but it is one that I've watched now. You know, there's been a lot of like doomsday and dystopian, I feel like, this year. And speaking of another one would be A Quiet Place Day 1, where it kind of goes back to the first day of A Quiet Place. Mm-hmm. That one was actually pretty good. I'm going to give it to him. I don't honestly remember Quiet Place 2. I know it existed. I can't remember it as well. I think there was a baby in it. The first one I liked. I enjoyed it because I liked the concept of it. And then with this one, it really wanted you to understand it happening and trying to figure, like, as being a person in a city with this crazy thing happening, what the hell do you do, right?
Because it's more about, like, the start. Yeah.
And I guess
I've heard that the acting and stuff is pretty good.
I don't... is it a spoiler if I say it's the start of the invasion? Since it is kind of like a monster alien that comes to Earth. Yeah, the acting is great. The actress wonderful. I think she's actually fantastic as the main character. And I guess the whole premise, she is a cancer patient, and this whole thing goes down, and all she wants to do is get pizza. So that's her whole motivation, is to get to this pizza place and have a slice of pizza.
Okay, I can get.
It's the end of the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are always a good twist kind of thing to like have the character just want something really low stakes while something is going on like that. Definitely. Mm-hmm.
So I found it very entertaining, and it kind of got you at a couple of points where you're like, oh, okay, that happened. Like you weren't expecting it.
The other TV show I saw with Mom and Dad was we watched the Netflix Monsters, the Menendez brothers story.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I honestly will say I do watch a lot of documentaries. I will not be discussing those today.
This was not a documentary. This was a Ryan Murphy show, much like
based on.
Yes. And it was terrible. It drags. It tells the same shit over and over and over and over again. It's held up by the acting, but outside of that, it is way too goddamn long and did not need to be told this many times. It's a Ryan Murphy show, so you know exactly what you're getting. There's stuff in there that implies that everyone is gay.
Of course.
Whether or not they were. There is stuff in there that implies sexual abuse, which of course is the crux to the Menendez brothers case. But it just kept telling you the same shit over and over again. And I found the Dahmer one at least kind of compelling because what's his name? Who is playing Dahmer in that? Quicksilver.
I know, I'm trying to think of his name.
Evan Peters. So Evan Peters is good in that, and he makes it compelling to watch, and you don't know what he's going to do next. With this, it's they killed their parents, and then that's kind of the end of it, and you just go over different aspects of it again and again and again.
Right.
So not my favorite thing. Was there anything else you wanted to cover?
I mean, only if you want to talk about Twisters, Woman of the Hour. Oh, speaking of serial killers, I did watch Woman of the Hour.
I heard of that one, I think. What's that one about?
Okay, well, the whole idea is it revolves around the dating game where a serial killer actually was on it to find his next victim. And that's based on a true story.
The one with Anna Kendrick. Happened. Yes,
with Anna Kendrick. It was weird. It was interesting. I'm not going to say it was like my favorite or like amazing. It wasn't. But it was very interesting and it kind of like brings it a little bit to light. Like, oh my God, like that actually happened. Kind of craziness of that serial killer and his mindset.
Is it just on the dating show, or do they like go past
No, they go past. So they kind of go before and after the dating show with the serial killer himself. It kind of shows like, okay, here's what he did with his past victims. He pretended to be a photographer a lot of the times to like get his victims into a weird situation, like a just one-on-one situation where he could kill them. And so it kind of like showed his past victims and then the dating game with her where, I guess, spoiler alert, she gets away because she kind of goes, this is weird. I don't like how this guy's acting, and leaves the situation. And then it goes to his being caught where his last victim, who also was able to get him caught by the police. So it does like show multiple victims that he actually was after. So it's not just like, okay, we're focused on the dating game. It kind of goes back and forth. And because it's from Anna Kendrick's, the person she's playing, her perspective, we get to see some of her stuff as well. So it kind of like bounces between both perspective of the victims and the serial killer.
But you liked it?
I found it kind of like an interesting watch. Yeah, I would say that.
How many, is it a miniseries or a movie?
It's just a movie. It's just a movie, so it's quick. Yeah, it's definitely not a miniseries. So not like, ooh, go out and watch it now, but hey, if you feel like it and you like true crime stuff, there's a based on true story that's just interesting and weird.
I think that's pretty much all I've got. I'm sure that there was stuff from prior years. Like,
oh yeah, of course.
My comics, I'm like 8 years behind on. The Marvel ones are not doing great in the timeline I'm in. There's a few that are good. Books I read.
Yeah, I was trying to go through my books, and I've apparently 25 on my list from this past year. I think it's not bad.
You could do your own podcast by yourself on that one, Rachel.
Book club with Book Club Shelf Life. Shelf Life's book club.
Right. Yeah, Shelf Life's book club. Rachel can do a whole nother episode on that. Video games, I don't think we played anything that came out this year in particular.
I did. There was a couple horror games.
I don't play video games that much.
Yeah. There was a multiplayer horror game that came out like called Lethal Company. Very interesting story where you're kind of like working for something called the Company, and you have to find scraps on different planets. And you find out that you're kind of giving these scraps to this crazy alien creature. It kind of has a lot of replayability, a lot of monsters trying to come and get you. And then another game called Indigo Park, which is one of those mascot horror games. I actually thought this one has potential, though. So it was like the first chapter of that horror game. And I really enjoyed the main like raccoon character that you had to banter with, like walking around and all of that kind of stuff. So I feel like that one actually has potential in the mascot horror game universe, I guess I would call it. So stuff like that is what I was playing this year. So I've played a couple, and of course like any of like the DLCs that came out with a couple of games.
Sure.
I ended up getting, but besides that.
Yeah. Is that it? I think that's most of the stuff.
I think so. I think we've covered
through
it.
that. And in 2025, we can look forward to more endless trash.
Endless trash.
Endless trash.
Fuck you, it's 2025.
Probably.
I won't do that one. Because that's, look, I love you, Red Letter Media. I won't take it from you.
But yeah, that's just some of the stuff. We figured we'd do a little recap, and we'll be back next time with more from Volume 5. Until then, I've been Kevin.
And I'm Rachel.
This has been Shelf Life. We'll see you next time.
Curious.
2025!